This is why narcissistic men are obsessed with becoming women. Some narcissistic men exhibit an unsettling tendency. They attempt to imitate and even embody the woman they resent the most. How does this manifest? It shows in their behavior, how they interact with others, their mannerisms, their choices, and even their parenting style. But what drives this behavior? At its core, it's rooted in envy and jealousy. This envy propels them to engage in what can best be described as identity theft. They aim to appropriate the positive traits of the woman they resent and incorporate them into their own personality, often transforming fundamental aspects of themselves. I've encountered countless stories of individuals sharing similar experiences, such as, "My husband started mimicking my style of dressing. He suddenly began showing interest in the perfumes I wear. He pursued jobs that are typically aligned with my professional preferences. He began speaking to our children exactly the way I do, as though trying to prove he had the same nurturing abilities." This behavior is not just mirroring, it's an intentional theft of identity traits. Does this have anything to do with gender identity or confusion? Not really. That's an entirely separate subject. What we're examining here is something different: the narcissist's profound void where their genuine identity should exist. You may have heard of mirroring. A tactic narcissists use to mimic others and create a false sense of connection. But in this case, it goes deeper than imitation. It's about stealing. They don't just replicate behaviors temporarily, they adopt the best parts of someone else's personality out of jealousy and resentment, using those traits to garner attention or influence others, particularly those important to their target. I'm Danish, a professional in narcissistic abuse recovery, and today I want to shed light on a strange and disconcerting phenomenon: why some narcissistic men try to become the women they despise. Narcissists, both men and women, lack an authentic sense of self. They navigate life by copying others, piecing together traits and skills that they believe will enhance their image or help them function. If they see something in another person that garners admiration or respect, they take it as their own. For instance, they might think, "If I adopt this characteristic, people will give me more attention. If I act like this, others will believe I'm highly skilled." This behavior stems from their inability to function independently. Strip away the borrowed traits, and you're left with a deeply insecure individual who feels lost and incapable. When a narcissistic man enters a marriage, he often does so with two underlying motives. 1. To elevate his partner, initially He recognizes her qualities and knows she's out of his league, choosing her specifically for her value as a source of admiration and supply. Narcissists don't seek partners randomly. They select individuals who outshine them socially or personally, but their long-term goal is to diminish her, making her doubt her worth and see herself through his distorted lens. 2. To emulate her over time. This is where identity theft becomes glaringly obvious and deeply unsettling. When this begins, it's confusing and disorienting. You might find yourself asking why your husband suddenly behaves in uncharacteristic ways, perhaps adopting a more nurturing or feminine demeanor. This shift is their attempt to absorb what makes you exceptional, as though by imitating you, they can soften your strengths and present them as their own. It's not a compliment, it's a reflection of their insecurities and inability to form a stable, authentic identity. There's absolutely nothing wrong with embracing femininity. However, when a narcissistic man suddenly starts behaving in ways that seem out of character, it raises concerns. What's going on with you? Going, no, this isn't your style. You never used to be into this. Suddenly, he's sporting the same outfits, favoring the same colors, purchasing the same items you love, and mimicking your preferences. It's strange, unsettling, and raises questions. What's actually happening is that the narcissist is attempting to absorb your identity, your traits, and your personality, driven by their deep-seated envy and insecurity. Narcissists are highly adaptable when it comes to adopting behaviors. They pick up whatever they believe will improve their image, regardless of whether it fits their true self. They'll gaslight you into believing, *, they just admire me a lot. They're comfortable with themselves and want to be like me. *. But that's not what's really at play. This behavior isn't about admiration, it's about jealousy. The narcissist is trying to steal even the smallest details of your identity, from your preferences to your daily habits, all because they're envious of what you have. It's not about feeling comfortable around you, it's about harboring resentment. He's essentially taking pieces of you, and that's why he's a true gold digger in this situation. While secretly admiring your abilities, he never acknowledges your efforts. No matter how well you manage your life, whether you're balancing the household or navigating challenges, he'll always find fault. This is part of his role. Here's the catch. While he criticizes you, you'll notice him adopting your strategies, handling situations similarly, even imitating the way you speak or interact. For instance, if you have a calm demeanor that naturally diffuses tension, and he's usually loud and angry, you might see him begin to sit, speak, and act in a more composed way after being around you for a while. It's confusing. You might even think, * that's not you. You used to yell, curse, and argue, and now you're pretending to be calm. Is this really happening? *. What you're witnessing is the narcissist trying to become you. This is proof that, deep down, they admire and are inspired by you. But in their distorted worldview, they twist this admiration into something else. * This is who I've been all along. *. And then, here's the kicker. They'll accuse you of imitating them. For example, if you approach parenting with patience and empathy, listening to your children, and avoiding authoritarian tactics, they'll copy your behavior. Even though they've never behaved this way before, they'll act as though this calmness is something they always possessed. Then when you parent authentically, they'll accuse you of mimicking them, saying things like, *, see what you're doing. You're copying me. You're speaking to our son the way I do. You'll never be able to love him the way I do. *. You'll be left stunned, thinking, *, what are you talking about? I've always been like this. It's you who's been copying me, *. But as always, they will never admit it. I remember watching my father closely observe my narcissistic mother. She had a certain level of sophistication and knew how to navigate life. In contrast, my father seemed completely lost. He didn't know how to raise children, how to communicate with them, or how to interact with the people around us. But what surprised me was how he would watch her intently. I can still recall it to this day. He started using the same vocabulary, speaking in the same tone, and addressing issues in the same manner. He would bring up the same topics, acting just like her. That's why I've often said that many narcissistic men try to emulate the very woman they despise the most. There's also the issue of feminine softness. Women, by nature, have a calming, soothing, and nurturing quality, which narcissists lack entirely. I'm not saying all men are tough and strong. That's a stereotype that doesn't apply to everyone. But narcissists, whether male or female, are emotionally void. They have no real capacity to care for or nurture in a motherly way. However, they understand that to create a fake bond with their children, to be the Disneyland parent, and subtly turn the children against you, they must mimic your behavior. This same pattern happened in my own family. Behind my mother's back, my father, a covert narcissist, would imitate her behavior. Covert narcissists often put on a fake loving or pseudo-soft persona. He would try to care for us the way she did, but it felt incredibly shallow. It was like dealing with her, but without the depth or authenticity. His version lacked any true essence. No matter how hard a narcissistic man tries to become the woman he despises, he ultimately fails. It's not who he is. It's just a way for him to cope and steal the attention for himself. With that, I'll wrap up this episode. Thank you for listening, and if you found this interesting, let me know in the comments below. I'll talk to you in the next one. Until then, as always, let the healing begin and continue.